Remember when we started doing this?
Yeah.
I said like, I just want to be true.
Oh yeah.
I just want to like say exactly what I felt
Yes.
and what I wanted to say.
You don't need to do
Right.
a podcast for the sake of a podcast as revenue generating. The reason we're doing this,
Yeah.
just to get right to it, is we want to be able to honestly kind of give therapy, like unlicensed therapy,
Yes.
kind of, which is
I like
another
that,
show idea I had,
unlicensed
by the
therapy.
way.
Unlicensed therapy.
Which I was going to do with a therapist, by the way.
I love that idea.
That's
I like
next.
It. Yeah.
I have a friend that I want to be on the show too that we want to do. She's a therapist, so do something.
Yeah.
The point is, we want to help people.
Right.
I love coaching.
Yeah.
I guess for me, it doesn't matter if they have a business problem or a personal problem. To me, they're all
Right.
interrelated because it's always like a people problem. It's always like something that's solvable and they're just not looking at it right or they
Yeah.
haven't thought about
Just
it.
need a
but-
tweak. Most
Yeah.
problems just need like one tweak.
Exactly.
Change of mindset.
So just helping
change approach.
people find their path.
Right.
And really, I really love helping people figure out who they are. Because
Yeah.
if once you know who you are, you'll know what to do.
One thing I learned about sharing your story and helping other people, it actually makes you grow. It actually helps you.
100%.
It helps you to grow, and that's the most rewarding part.
Yeah, like helping others helps you
Yeah.
just through the act of helping
And
others.
to see them grow because you are part of their journey, I think that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
I realized this through the podcast, and I think Ani actually said this to me at some point. I'm really on my journey.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like I turned 50, but you realize when you turn 50, you're not gonna have it figured out.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I should have a little pop thing.
We can add that in CGI. But what you realize at 50 is you're never gonna have it figured out. It's not about that. It's about growing,
Right.
becoming the best version you can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a process.
Process.
That's
So I'm on my
eternal.
journey, telling other people's stories. People that have found themselves. People that have found themselves are typically quite successful as well.
Right.
But it's not about monetary. It's about they're doing what they love. So they put
Yes.
their passion, their hard work into it.
The impact.
Like you said, everything's hard, right? So I really believe if you can find your passion, you're
Yeah.
gonna put in the work.
Yeah, but it's good
It's
work.
exactly.
Instead
It's
of
hard.
being hard,
It's-
that word turns into
Yeah, you just doing what you.
Well, it's fulfilling.
It's
You know,
fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard. It's exhausting, but it's a good exhaustion. You're like at the end of the day, you're like,
Exactly.
I put in the work, but you can go to sleep, hit that pillow,
Right.
and you're like, I did.
Remember, in every game, there's always, before you could be able to the next level, it's always the hard one that you need to go over with.
You got-
need to die first and
Yes.
keep trying it.
Oh my
and
God,
then
I
once
love
you
that.
did it, that feeling of like, finally I'm in level 2. You
And
know?
then level 2, you start all over,
Right.
and you got to learn it all over again.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, video games they have like, a very high value in my opinion. A very
Right.
intrinsic value, like Dark Souls, like that series, Elden Ring. You know, there's people who look at video games, they're just like, you know, you're wasting your time, wasting your life. And it's like, no, I learned perseverance
Yes.
through the fact that I beat Elden Ring, which is a game that like 1% of gamers actually beat because it's that hard.
Right.
But you keep dying, and every time you die, you learn a little bit. You have like, okay,
Yes.
this next time I'm gonna just hit it, and now I know, you know. And you're just constantly making those adjustments and improving.
Right.
By the time you beat this entire game, where you were when you first started, you were getting your ass beat on level 1.
Yeah.
Excuse my language. I don't know.
I
if I'm
love
cussing.
I love the video game analogy is something I
Yeah.
preach all the time. In fact, we don't even know if we're in a video game.
Right.
But video games are very analogous to life. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, it's like life is like that. It's levels.
Exactly.
You never get, in life you just can keep going up probably.
Right. But
It's
you
a very
need to
complex game.
understand
Exactly.
the reason why. You know, like some other kids, they just look at it as a video game. But for them to understand in real life, you know.
Well,
you-
to get to the end, to be successful in a video game, you have to understand the objective.
Right.
You got to know your why. What are you
Exactly.
trying to do? Are you trying to save somebody? What are you trying to do?
Yes.
Trying to kill a bunch of. You got to know your objective.
Saving
Yes.
Princess Peach.
And in life,
Super Mario.
and in life is the most complex video game where you can choose so many things and it's
Right.
so difficult to figure it out. A video game is like they tell you got to do this.
Right.
In life, you got to figure that out yourself.
Yeah.
You may not be exposed to the thing that you love. What if you didn't get exposed to filmmaking?
Right.
What if you didn't have that opportunity? So that's one of the reasons I really do the interviews, is to like motivate younger and even people at my age that want to find themselves, to go, hey, everybody was lost at some point.
Right.
They just kept following their gut, being gritty, not giving up.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's all these principles that the successful people have.
Yeah.
They never give up. They have a clear vision. They figure out who they are.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to suck when they start. You know, like a lot of people, they never want to start because they're like, well, the first piece of music I put out, this or that, you know, everyone's gonna, like, what are they gonna think? What are they? Oh, they're gonna judge me. And it's like, you got to realize, everyone sucks when they start at something. No one's just good.
Right.
People will say, well, that person's creative. Everyone can be creative. You can be creative. You create every day. We're all creators. You know.
Right.
You gotta suck before you can be successful.
There.
Oh,
You can't even
I like
put it on a
that.
t-shirt.
You can't even get to successful without suck. It's in the damn word.
Success. You're so
It's
right.
impossible.
Right.
I have not ever met anyone that was good right away.
Right.
Jordan couldn't make a shot when he was 3 years old. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? He had to
True.
work his way up to that shit.
Yeah, you don't just come out of the womb.
Yeah,
just
dunking
on people.
He
Yeah.
fucking worked his ass off, man. For sure.
Well, I think that's a great segue into the first episode of the Coffee
Unplugged.
Coffee Unplugged.
Are we rolling now?
podcast. We
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
We
We
have.
are
Been, we
rolling.
have been rolling. Yeah, we have been
We're
on
into
a
it.
sick one.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Evan, to be our co-host today.
Thank you for having me. I don't, you know, I see myself as just the guy over here. I want to get to know both of you. You know,
Right.
it's funny. Like, you know, we didn't plan this, but
Right.
it was like, oh, do you want to be our first guest? And then it's like, yeah, but I don't want it to be about me.
Right.
What I do with my company Brand Story is I interview my clients
Exactly.
and get to know their stories. So what better a first episode? What better an opportunity for me to guest, but not so that it can be about me,
Right.
but that I can do what I love, which
Right.
is to interview you guys on your first podcast episode, and you know, our audience can get to know both of you.
Right. And it's so nice to see the man behind the cameras, you know, and with the team. It's amazing. And I'm so happy that I could be able to share this space with you, and especially to Rick.
Well, I'm excited to also meet Rick today for
Right.
the first time, but awesome dude. So
Thanks, man.
no,
know,
I'm
right?
excited. I'm so excited we're here.
hell yeah.
And
Like,
imagine
we
it-
literally this happened so quickly.
Right.
Like, we literally met a few months ago. Me hanging out at the coffee shop.
And
you know, having
me
meetings there.
noticing this guy that's like doing videos, I was like, what is this guy doing? And I was like, hey, so what do you do? And then the rest is history.
That's how it happens.
Right.
Yeah. And it happened really, but it feels like I've known you forever,
I know, right?
because we have that connection where I think we want to help people figure themselves
Right.
out,
Right.
help people figure out their business, help them
Right.
figure out their career, help
Yes.
them figure out how to be a great parent.
Yeah.
We have also the common thread of having a special needs person in our life. Like my oldest has Down syndrome.
And like Evan, too.
yeah,
And then-
It's
firstborn.
Evan's brother.
You know, and really like forces you to become either a super parent or you get kind of really like depresses you. Like I've seen people
hard.
go the
Yeah.
other way. It's hard. Or you rise to the occasion and realize what a blessing it is.
It is,
It puts
yeah.
perspective on life, and that was a big game changer for me. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
have that in common.
Right.
But like I've always wanted to do kind of a roundtable podcast where it's really like a community hub.
Right.
People from the community can come, professionals, entrepreneurs, you know, performers, artists.
Well,
Everyone.
I'm sure. I
you know,
mean,
just-
Even
I'm
small
sure
business
there's
owners.
a ton of
even a regular person, you know, well,
Right.
not a regular person, but a person itself, you know, just those stories, their own unique stories, can make a lot of difference.
yeah. I like, you know, with when I heard your story, it made a big difference for me, knowing that there's other business owners out there who have, you know, special needs, kids on the spectrum. For me, my brother's on the spectrum,
Right.
and they're out there kicking ass, taking names, you know, building businesses and all that. I'm like, oh my gosh, how inspiring. You know, that's some, I want to know your story. And then to hear, you know, as well that you've got a Down syndrome, oldest, is it a boy, girl?
Boy. I have 4 boys.
So
we also have 4 kids. We have a lot in common. Like
I was gonna say, my brother's name is Daniel. Your son's name is Daniel. So it's like, whoa. So all those similarities, you know, our paths cross, collide, and then, you know, over coffee,
Exactly.
Hold
on, what are we?
we're in that flow state, that mindset, that growth mindset, as you mentioned, Diana. Like, that's what it's all about. So it's really, again, you know, super honored, privileged to be here today and getting to know both of you and your stories. I don't really know you as much, Rick. You know, we've had our chances to have our conversations, Diana, but yeah, I'd love to hear, you know, you found tangandjava, you know, you were there doing some video stuff. Like what's your deal? You know, what's your story?
Let's know about Papa Smurf.
Yeah. How did that kind of how did you eventually, before you even met Diana, you know, like I'd love to know more about what you did before that and what brought us here.
I've kind of been like finding myself like all my life.
He's soul searching.
Yeah. I'm a immigrant, like refugee from Ukraine. Yeah. Like we were refugees coming out of, you know, Ukraine, the Soviet Union, the Iron Curtain back in like 1978. I was 4 years old. And then eventually moved to Ohio, then for 4 years, then LA. So I've been in LA since I was 8. And my parents always preached like, you know, get a good job, you know, get a stable job. It wasn't really coming from that environment. They were always entrepreneurs, ironically. But so it was like, you know, become a doctor, a lawyer, or if you're, you know, not very smart, become a CPA, which is what my dad would always joke. And I became a CPA. I was good with math, but it wasn't my calling. Like I look back now, I really loved like psychology. I loved philosophy. I loved acting class. But I chose like a career I thought was the responsible choice. And that led me to like a 20 plus year corporate finance career doing heading up internal audit departments and doing well for the family, but just honestly like very agonizing, like kind of very unfulfilling for me. It was not exciting. It just isn't connected to who I am. And like probably 10 years ago, after my divorce, I got divorced. I had 3 kids with my first wife. Had a divorce, which was very difficult and painful, and you know, I felt like I was abandoning my kids in some way. And that was a big turning point, like my rock bottom. You know, I moved out. I was living in a tiny like apartment, 1 bedroom. You know, then a 2 bedroom, started having my kids over, and you know, I always maintained like half custody, so like being a father was always like my number one. Like when they were with me, it was all about them. But really the last 10 years I've been finding myself like trying different businesses. I got into film production. My wife and I had my now wife and I owned an indoor soccer facility, like where we had like kids programs and stuff like that. Launched a whiskey brand. Like I just been kind of doing like a little bit of everything.
Right.
But really all the time, even in my career, I realized I've been coaching. Like I always coached people. I always helped people that worked for me find their career. Like I would help them get jobs within the company. I'd spend probably 80% of my time like talking to my people, coaching them, helping them with their personal problems.
Right.
So.
But do you think that your background or your past, or even though when you were young, is there some triggered that actually happened to you that makes you think that start questioning yourself?
Honestly, and this probably drives me wanting to have a podcast and interviewing people, because I like to figure out how they found themselves.
Yeah.
I really didn't, and this is not, I'm not a victim, I'm not blaming my parents, they did the best they could. But there wasn't really a lot of guidance into like, who are you? Figure yourself out. It's like, get good job. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's like, you need to take care of your family. Like, you're lucky.
Right.
Like, my first job was LA County Audit Division.
Ooh,
Hall of Records.
Wow.
We were in the hall of, we weren't even in the hall of administration. We were in the hall of records where they keep records. We were like dingy, 6 foot tall cubicles, a sea of 100 cubicles.
Wow.
It was like honestly, like a movie.
It's like the movie
Right.
From hell.
The Matrix. It's like right out of the Matrix.
I picked accounting because the career counselor said, "Oh, you're good at math. It's a very stable career." That's not a good reason to pick your career.
Right.
Then, as I'm getting my degree, they're like, "Oh, if you want to be a CPA, you got to get your audit hours." I'm like, "Oh, I got to be an auditor? That's like the last thing I ever thought I'd be.
Yeah.
Like auditing people's records. It's not sounding exciting. I'm very like sports competitive person. Probably should have gone into sales if anything." And then I got my first job at LA County on an on-campus interview. So I had no idea. I'd never been in an office. I always worked with people
Right.
at the bank. As a
How does
teller.
it feel?
I walked in and they're like, "Here's your stack of manuals and a
Oh,
cubicle."
gosh.
And it was like really quiet
Right.
and just shuffling papers. And
Oh,
I'm like, "Oh, fuck.
this is my life.
What did I get myself into?" I swear, I would call
Right.
my girlfriend. I would ever call the payphone downstairs,
Mm-hmm.
and I would run down and like cry.
No.
I'd be like, "I can't do this."
It's like jail, man.
And she's like, "You got this." And my dad's like, "Don't be pussy." Like I said, "Hey, I don't like this,"
Yeah.
and I just never quit. And then I
Wow.
got promoted.
Right.
Like every year, they're like, "You're doing a great job." I'm like, "Really?" I was hoping you'd say, but that's great. And then I kind of like, yeah, that's why I say be careful the ladder you climb, because just because you're decent at something, I'm a good problem solver. It did teach me a lot, so it wasn't wasted time. But mostly, I'm just so passionate to not let people go down that path if I can help it. Like all my kids' friends,
Right.
we talk. What are you picking for your major? And so many times I'm like, dude, you're
wrong
fucked.
reason. Yeah.
Because it's always money.
Yeah.
I go,
Parents
and
say
you know
this.
what I tell them? If you want to make a lot of money, they're like, yes. Here's what you do. Take money out of the equation. They're like, huh? I'm like, because if you're doing it for the money, you're going to make the wrong choice and you're not going to work hard. You're going to be a shitty doctor, lawyer, or whatever you think you're going to make money at.
If you don't
Because
follow what you
I know
love
a
to do.
lot of really bad professionals that chose the wrong thing and they're just miserable.
Yeah.
Right.
Barely getting by.
It's being stuck in that hamster wheel of, we're doing all this for paper.
Right.
Right.
Well, if your heart's not in it, it's
Right.
like that's literally a living hell,
Right.
because there's no passion. It's not real.
Dude.
It's like 20 years of, you might as well just be I don't know, like it's like 20 years goes by in a blink of an eye and you look back and you're like, okay, I got all this money, but like, you could die tomorrow and, then what? That money doesn't even mean anything.
Time is the most
Exactly.
valuable thing.
Right.
So if you're spending your best waking out, if you do the calculation,
Right.
work takes probably 80% of your best, most creative, high energy time. By the time you get
Yeah.
home, you're dead. Especially if
Right.
you do a job you hate, you're like, you're dragging your ass. To get to the office, you're looking at the clock and you're like, it's a terrible way to live. You're paying the bills, but your best time is like you go on vacation once a year. Your best time is wasted on the job.
True.
And
But
you're not giving enough effort to really get super high up. You're going to just stay in the mid-range because you don't have the passion for it.
I
Right.
always wonder, because me as a kid, I always wanted to be a cardiologist. Sometimes it always makes me think that what happens if I really took or become a cardiologist?
It's not too late, but maybe you're
No, but
here.
that was when I was a kid. But I know, because when I was still young, raising in a family where it's entrepreneur, at 6 years old, or as long as I could remember, I'm already working. It's like I'm already working with our family business. Like I'm gonna wake up at like 5-6. I was 5-6 years old. I have my driver and we have a secretary. I need to open our kind of like a Best Buy. It's like a marketing store in the Philippines. And I was actually working already. My
Wow.
mom is preparing my siblings, and I was gonna go. The driver will take me, and then our secretary is already waiting for me to open that store. And as far as I can remember, I'm already working. But I never, or, well, I love my mom, by the way, but she never asked me what I really wanted to do in life.
Mm.
And since when I was a kid, I said, like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. But I never go into that path. But I never really have that urge that I want to be a doctor. That's what I wanted. No, I actually love what I do right now. I could still be able. I always thought that I love helping people if I become a doctor.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean that you actually don't need to be a doctor to help people.
Right.
So maybe this is the calling that I think for me. Even though in my head when I was a kid, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a cardiologist. I want to be
You
a
know
doctor.
what? You're healing hearts though
Right.
through the podcast and through coffee.
Right.
Cheers.
Yes. Well, you know, I see this through line. You know, I see it now. Why we're here. You know, why you two are here. It's really this very different ways, right? Like, but both really just you have this drive I see in you to leave an impact on others, right? And that's, I'm guessing you guys got to talking, and is that where you felt there was a through line, like what? And then there was the children with disability, like you know, there's a lot to connect you guys. It's everything.
We connected on
Just
probably
aligned.
every level, like
There you
being
go.
creative, taking risk. We're used to taking risks. You have to
Right.
kind of build that up. I do want to say something because it's very important. Every single job you can choose, any
Yeah.
career you choose, is about helping people, and that's how
Right.
you discover your why.
Everything.
How do you want to help people?
Right.
Do you want to help people by making amazing content? You want to help people by making amazing coffee in a place they can all meet and share ideas
Right.
and get some therapy, because they're not everyone's going to go see a therapist,
Yeah.
but everyone needs therapy. Everyone needs someone to understand them.
You know what's so funny? Because when I was working in the coffee shop, it actually fills my heart when I hand a cup of coffee to a customer, and that first sip, the whole world changes for them. And then they will say that you have no idea how you make my day. Imagine being a barista and you made that coffee. You pass on that energy to that person, and it actually touches that person.
And
Because of
you said
that.
that to Evan on the earlier your on Evan's podcast,
Right.
that you make it with love.
Yeah.
And it's not just something you say, because when you make eggs,
Yes.
and you are actually, if you're like it'll taste different than
Yep.
if you're like this.
Right.
Very
The way
true.
you fold it, it really does taste different.
Oh yeah.
Right.
That's why my eggs, you know, maybe hidden. But the way you make coffee, the ingredients, the machine you chose, you could have gotten a cheaper machine. You could have gotten the. So you also know what's going in. So when it touches people, you're like,
Yeah.
you created an experience that they can't get anywhere else.
And for me, that is so fulfilling. You know, it's like that first cup of gelato, or the first, as soon as they tasted, even though just tasted the gelato, you could see their eyes lit up, and it's like, wow, you know, it's like, this is so good, and then gonna try another one. This is so good, and then I was like, I've done my job.
But what's the deeper
You know?
connection with the coffee and the gelato? Like, what? It's not just about. It's a vehicle. Because then they're connected to you. You put love into this. They connected with you. Now they're more open with you. Now you can share what's on their mind more. Now you can potentially help them with something to help them on their way.
Right.
I feel like that's like, if I had to describe myself, I was telling
Yeah.
you earlier, like Papa Smurf. I really always looked up to Papa Smurf, because I'm like, oh, he's helping all the Smurfs figure out their place. And I always felt like I didn't find my place. Like, I'm just finding it now. Kind of, because this is not paying the bills, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I still got to do, like, I do a lot of business consulting that's still kind of audit related, because that's where I can get clients easier.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm just finding myself at this age.
I
But
think
you are
yeah.
the mama Smurf, I feel, to my Papa Smurf. Like, that's how I felt. I'm like, oh, in your way, with the hub, I love having that's why I met you, because I started meeting my friend and coaching him on his real estate business, how to like farm the community better. And I said, let's go to the local. And he found you guys, and I go, I saw the pictures, because we wanted something high quality. He's very high quality.
Very cool.
And then we said, not like a Starbucks, like a local coffee. And we're like, holy crap, it's so perfect. It's literally, I pass every day to go to the elementary school.
Yeah.
It was like in a movie. Because
Yeah.
literally we wouldn't have gone to any other coffee shop around here.
It's like a it's like a lighthouse for like high quality members of the community who are like seeking.
And I said, he's going to send out handwritten letters to the community. That was one of our ideas.
Yeah.
Boom.
And he's gonna offer them a free cup of coffee at the local coffee shop. So when we came, we're like, maybe we'll meet the owner. Who knows who it is? It might be some random, dude that's like, get out of here. What do you want from me? I'm just trying to make a coffee. And then so we were already thinking to meet the owner. We asked, where's the owner? We met Anastasia. She's like, she's not here. Oh, she's awesome, Diana. And we're like, okay. Then we met you the next time.
Right.
And then bam, like 2 months. She's nuts. You're nuts. No, really. You know what? Can I just say for the record? Yes.
Yeah.
I realized in my endeavors, I always have to partner with like producers. I'm more the ideas and problem solver, but I need someone that's like boom, boom, boom. Logos.
Oh yeah.
Dude, she's like, we're doing this, right? I got my guy Evan, but we gotta have a budget, 6-month budget. Are you in or not? I'm sending you a contract. I'm like, sure, send it, because I'm kind of crazy too. But I'm like, are we really doing a podcast?
That's how I roll.
I got my studio. We roll up
Sick.
here. 2 months later, we're rolling.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was
rolling
quick.
deep.
Right.
Oh man, Deanna.
I know.
D-die.
What I want to know, because you asked this, you said, where does this drive come from, right? And that's what I'm curious. I know that there's the story behind the inception of the coffee shop, but even before that, looking back to your childhood, you were working at 6 years old.
Yeah.
For a lot of kids, I mean, that's a nightmare. But
I was working at 8. By the way, same thing. We have very similar. My parents' clothing shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
My dad and I used to go to the swap meet Saturday, Sunday, selling used Levi's, because they had a Levi's contract.
Yeah.
We would 5 a.m.
Oh my God.
Get your ass up.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, dude, I'm glad he kind of made me.
The grit.
My mom sometimes would talk him out of it. Can you just let him sleep today? Now I'm like, she shouldn't have done that.
Right.
She should have let him get my ass up.
Right. No, seriously.
I'm surprised.
It makes a lot of difference.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised it didn't turn you off of it, right? And go, well, when I'm older, I definitely don't want to do that BS. No, it's like both of you. It was like
it made me see what it takes. They had a clothing store. It wouldn't have survived if they didn't hustle and go to swap. Who goes to the swap meet Saturday? We killed used Levi's. A lot of workers would come and they'd buy these used Levi's.
Yeah.
We'd sell thousands a day. And that's why we were able to make rent. We would have gone out of business.
Right.
So that's how you do it when you're an immigrant entrepreneur. They have no choice. They have no English.
Yeah.
So whatever we got to do.
Well, I'm curious. There's a big gap here for Diana. Like, there was working from 6 years old.
Yeah.
Up until the point where you had your boys. What was life like? Did you end up in a career path? Were you always out doing entrepreneurial work?
What were the defining moments that created the Diana that we see, kind of? But start with 6 to that gap. Yeah, because
the plot point.
I want to know.
The story.
What's your exactly? If we're making a movie, give us like a few chapters that it really impacted you.
Boom.
Well, I came from, they call it broken family. My dad left us when I was like 1 year old.
Oh my
so
gosh.
my mom
Sorry.
is the only one that actually making us, like making a living for us. And then during when I was like 9 years old, she needs to leave the country, coming here in United States, and to work, to take care of other people, kids. I become a young mom for my siblings.
How many?
At that age, my sister and my brother. And my brother's only like probably a year old. What does an 8-year-old knows how to take care of a 1-year-old, right?
Yeah.
She left to come work here.
Yeah.
And you stayed there.
Yeah. And she left she left us to my grandma and my grandparents, which is also have so much businesses. So as soon as 8 a.m. clock in, they're already out there. I'm stuck taking care of my brothers. So I really feel so bad with my brother Angelo when he was a kid, that for me to put him to sleep is to lock him in the room crying. Because when he keeps crying...
He was 1?
He was 1 or 2 years old at the time.
No other adults?
No.
It's okay. Like, we come from the old country.
Right.
People don't realize we lived in a tiny, like 15 by 15 foot bedroom with my grandma, my parents, me, and my brother. And we shared a kitchen with 5 other families, like a commune.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's different than what people, like,
Oh, yeah.
life circumstances, life can create crazy circumstances.
And then I was gonna try to hear if he stopped crying. Then I'm gonna open slowly the door and pick him up and put him in bed. At the time, well, now having kids, I was like, oh my God, I'm so terrible. But during the time, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just go with the flow. And then imagine my brother actually sleep with us. And then I need to wake up at 7 a.m. to go to school. And he was crying at the time. You know when babies like still wake up, needs their milk after? I was doing that. I remember like I need to shower with cold water so I can wake up. I don't have sleep. And I need to go to school. I need to be at school.
And remind me, how old were you during this? I mean, this was...
Like 8.
8 years
Till
old.
how long did this go on?
For 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
We got petition. We got our papers.
Wait. 10 years?
Yes.
What about, like, some other people were helping, or you raised
Well,
them? You raised them from 8 to 18.
My grandparents are there. But again, they're like a small, they have businesses.
I see.
So
You're living together? Are you living together?
I live with my grandparents.
So you're kind of
I
in
grew up with
charge of the 1-year-old until 11
and
years old.
my sister
And
at
how
the
old
time.
is your sister at the
She's like
time?
a year younger than me.
Okay.
But she knows that my elder sister got it.
You're in
so
charge.
she's
You were in
always
charge.
like,
Do you feel like that
at
was
the
your
time-
natural personality, or you were just put into that? Meaning you were already like that born leader? Because I feel like you're kind of a leader type.
Right.
You're kind of
Thank
like
you.
the take charge alpha type.
Well, because I was put in there
Yeah.
and I have no choice.
You had no choice.
I do not have a dad. I didn't grow up mostly with my mom. So when I was growing up, and those are very crucial age. From that
Crucial.
age to like 18 years old, that's a very crucial age.
But I like to focus on the fact that you don't have to have a normal childhood.
Right.
It's not ideal. You don't want to do
Yeah.
that to your kids. Like, you're not going to go, you know what, I think it's good if I just leave. But you can turn anything around if you're strong enough, if you're
Right.
gritty, if you don't give up.
Right.
Because a lot of people can't, nobody can choose the environment they're born into.
Yeah.
It's not your choice. You're lucky as hell if you got a good situation.
When I was in
But
high
you can
school,
still get through and become, because nobody looked at
Yeah.
you and goes, she was probably, didn't have a father and was probably left at 8 years old to take care of her 1-year-old and 7. Nobody
Yeah.
would think that about
Yeah.
you.
No,
Right.
not at all. Yeah.
And that's what I love about people's stories. You go
Right.
and then people
Yeah.
hear that and go, maybe I can get over this challenge.
Right. And at the
Living
same
through.
time, my grandma is already practicing me to entrepreneurial stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we have so many commercial buildings. Every time I'm done with school with a driver, we go pick up the checks on each places. I need to drop it off, take it to the bank. It was so funny.
So a lot of
It was like,
positives.
yeah.
Like if you focus on the positives, you got a lot out of it. So your mom did a great job, actually.
No, but the thing
she
is,
did
I
a
always
best.
question
She's like,
myself.
I know you got what it takes. I'm leaving you here to test your willpower.
No, I always have so much doubt in me because, like, it's so funny how my high school friends, like they're all meeting up. We're supposed to meet up at 9 a.m., but I didn't show up till like 1 or 2 p.m. It's like, you're always late. And I always get that from them. And I always question myself, because I cannot go yet. My grandma have construction business. And then we have all these trucks transferring gravel to bringing to our subdivision that we're doing construction with. and I need to be there counting how many trucks and how many gravel was deposited from the riverside to our construction site. And before my grandparents will allow me to go, I need to finish my job, right? And in summertime, instead of me enjoying, we have this little small, she created this is kind of like a small small area, and she will give me like 10,000 pesos. It's like, go buy stuff, sell it, and whatever money you make, you keep it, right? And this is my summer. I'm supposed to be going out and enjoying and having fun with my friends. I can't. So I buy stuff. I got the 10,000. I paid her back, and all the money that I left from the business, we actually made it. So and I keep it, and I was like, "Ooh, that's amazing!" But at the same time, it's like, "Oh, I could have been with my friends."
Right. Now, looking back now, would you have changed anything, or do you
No.
think it was so critical in your development?
Not really, because it makes me who am I now.
Right.
Right.
And
Without that, that's why I was telling my son, you will never be the same mentality was that I have before, is because you never had that experience growing up. He will be in a different level though,
Yes.
because he have me.
And as a parent, it's very important to embrace that and not to say, when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry, Dad, I didn't grow up when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What the fuck you want me to do?
Well, yeah, what do you want me to do with
you
that?
fucking spoiled me. Sorry, Dad. But you got to find a way to
Right.
teach them now. Like, always, like, for example, with my kids, it's very simple. Just like with employees, you reward effort. You reward mistakes. Like, dude,
Right.
I love that you tried.
Yeah. As
Well,
long
like
as
what
you-
I mentioned before.
Growth mindset. You
Every
can always
time-
get better if
Every
you try.
time they make a mistake, I'm so happy.
Right.
I'm celebrating because now I could be able to tell them and teach them the importance of, because without those mistakes, they will never grow. They will never understand.
You can't be an entrepreneur or really successful at anything unless you take a really safe
right.
route that doesn't have a high ceiling. If you're not willing to fuck up, if you're not willing to suck.
Right.
I feel like
For a while.
for every entrepreneur I know, the common denominator is often that they had to go through a really, really crappy experience growing up. They had to, or in their first career, that was mine, right? The first career, you're like, for me, it was the film industry. I resonate so much to what you said, Rick. Like, I was just, what the hell's going on here? I'm getting mistreated. They're treating me like I'm some kind of like servant to them. Like, no respect. I don't even feel like I'm a human being. You know, there's zero care. Like, they don't care what, you know, they don't care what I go through. You know, it's like, it's just similar to with you, Diana. Like, your backstory, I see a very different, but still just adversity. I mean, from a young age, you know, and to me, it's like pressure makes diamonds.
Yes,
This is a
and I
perfect
love
example.
and I love, by the way, that it didn't stop you from pursuing your dream, because some people were not nice.
It's
It's
not
just
that
about
the-
it's finding your fit. There's so many ways to
Right.
make content. You can be independent. You can work with small business. You know, find your niche that excites you. Maybe it's corporate for some. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean someone else might not like it.
What makes me really sad and breaks my heart is that so many people do chase what they love. They'll go after what they love, but they'll end up in the wrong environment, in the wrong industry. They'll be a part of the corporate structure, and they don't understand that, like, for instance, if, like, let's say they're a therapist and they end up in the, like, you know, government health sector of therapy, and it's like they're just prescribing pills, pushing pills, and they're doing all this, and that whole environment, and they're totally unaligned. So they think, oh my God, I went to school for no reason. I got, you know, went all of this in debt. And it's like, what you want to do and how you want to help people isn't broken. Who you are isn't broken. The industry is broken. How do we fix it? How do you, that's the whole reason I went off and forged my own path, was because I saw the film industry is broken. We saw what happened with the strikes. We saw how much money has corrupted the entire industry. Why do we tell stories, right? Like, why are we on this podcast talking?
Exactly.
It's not for us.
Right.
It's not so we can make money. It's not so we can build like an empire of money of you know, and turn viewers into money. It's not that. It's something much deeper. And I think that's what audiences are craving.
Yeah. And stories is how we learn.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. When
it
we
teaches
learn math,
us a lot. Yeah.
When we learn math, someone tells us a story. Hey, if you have one pizza slice, and then you get another pizza slice, and you relate, you understand. Oh, I know a pizza slice. I ate a pizza slice. You can only learn something new if you take something old you understand and put it together. So storytelling is how we learn.
Right.
That's why it's so powerful for branding, and how do you brand first? Who are you? What's your why? How do you want to help people? Is a great way to figure out your why.
Absolutely.
Do you like cooking? Is that how you figure out your way? Whatever it is. You like talking? If you like coaching, do that.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I see that's what unites us, right? With brand story, that's my goal, my big thing I'm fighting against. I'm fighting ignorance with truth, storytelling.
Right.
Like real authentic stories are always going to illuminate, enlighten, bring everyone to a place of common ground, relatability, community. That's how we build community. And so as a community builder, Diana, and with Rick now helping your clients as well through coaching, through consulting, it's all very much aligned, and I'm excited to see what would you say
can I just say that we kind of have the perfect package for business and personal development?
I know, right?
Because you were born into an entrepreneurial life. I was too, forced into it kind of because we came as immigrants.
Right.
It was the only way my parents could make a living, right? You've been operating building up so many different businesses. I come from the corporate, CPA, accounting, business plans, budgets, forecasts, process improvement. Right. Auditing is process improvement. I got a lot of, and then content creation, because if you don't have great content nowadays, no one's gonna know your story.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Who are you?
And so it kind of like for any business, someone that's raising capital, somebody that wants to promote their business, somebody that wants to make their business more efficient, we kind of can like help a lot of people.
Exactly.
I do see that. That is true.
Not to plug us.
Shameless plug.
But I'm being real about the value. Like,
agreed.
Like the whiskey brand, Filmland Spirits. Shameless plug too.
Yeah.
But my co-founder and CEO of Filmland Spirits, Troy, was a writer. He came to LA to be a writer. He's an amazing writer. He did a bunch of stuff in Hollywood. He got jaded. He got out, became a serial entrepreneur. And then basically we started talking, and I said, dude, you're a genius. You got to do something. What do you want to do? And we started having breakfast, and it just was like, what's your passion? What do you want to, what's your favorite thing? What's your obsession? Whiskey, 3 years later, all about brand, all about, it was still who he is. He's a storyteller. Right. Even the whiskey brand is still storytelling, movie related.
No, in every great or successful product, there's a man, there's that person behind it. Like same thing, that actually willing to take the guts that nobody will, right? Mm-hmm. For example, if Albert Einstein didn't get a chance to really like go to what he really thinks is what's gonna happen, we're never gonna have enjoying what we have right now, right? So there's always that person that's willing to take that gut.
Put themselves
Alexander
out there.
Graham Bell, for the telephone. You think we will have an iPhone right now without it?
You said this before with Evan. We usually stop ourselves more than anything else.
Right.
It's a belief, and one of the commonalities of successful people that like to read biographies, autobiographies, documentaries, persistence. They believe in themselves. They never give up.
Mm-hmm.
They'll fail 1,000 times, knowing that's 1,000 times steps closer to finding
Leonardo da Vinci, right? It's like about the plane and how to fly. People laugh at him. And guess what? Without that, do you think we're going to have a plane right now?
Exactly.
I think where it all begins is, for me, when I was just getting started, I could have stayed in that mindset and then, I just got to go find my 9 to 5, and then I got to go and just grind it out and make enough money to one day hopefully retire. But instead, I think the difference was, and what keeps like 99% of people from doing this, they don't start. They never start. Yeah. Because I believe And that's like Newton's third law, right? Like an object in motion stays in motion, an object at rest stays at rest. Like the start is everything.
Do that first step.
Do that first step.
Take that
Don't
first
look
step.
at the big mountain.
Yeah.
Just look at what's that first step I need to do, because when you get started on that first step, okay, then there's the second. That's everything, right?
Everything, man. It's so important. We get on our own way. We're never going to be ready, you know.
Never.
Just show up. Like, it's these little sayings that really matter. Like one of my friends, we have the saying, like, just stumble in the room. Because one time he stumbled into the wrong room and met someone that eventually became a business partner for some really successful venture. We always say, dude, just stumble into the room.
Yeah.
Just appear. Just show up. Show up for the podcast. Were we ready?
That's what we're doing.
Were we ready for this podcast? Hell no.
No,
No,
not really.
not at all.
6 a.m. just to, hey man, let's do it. All right, let's get over here.
And thinking what if we screw up? What if we're not entertaining? What if we don't know what to say? What if we freeze? We have all these thoughts. The key is to just show up anyway and take the first step, and then magic happens often.
Right.
Often things turn out much, much better than expected.
But
Oh,
Rick,
yeah.
I'm always curious. Now you reach that golden year.
Yeah.
Is it
The
called
golden
golden
year.
year?
The golden year.
It is
50
the golden
years,
year.
like-
50. I think so.
What do you think makes you, as Rick, you know, if going back to your experiences, when you feel like you're in the rock bottom,
Mm.
you know, because you've been through a lot. And that's why I've seen and I could feel your energy, but there's something inside in there that I couldn't figure it out, but I need to understand.
Yeah. I don't even know why I started crying.
I know you're making me cry too.
It's a direct question,
But
man.
what a great question.
It's a good question.
Because it just hit me. Wow. I think I know what it is. I'm very open to sharing. I'm just trying to, because it's not, like, I don't know. I think there were some things, definitely getting a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
It was the low point. Because it wasn't just the divorce. It was like I was in a job that I thought I'd never get out of.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought of any future other than being an auditor the rest of my life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's just that total life of
like defeat.
out of alignment
Total
in
defeat.
every way.
Total defeat in every way.
Wow.
And the thing that was the most important to me, being a good husband and father, especially a father, I kind of, I broke that.
Mm.
And honestly, I don't look at it the same way now, but I guess emotions coming back, because at the time, I killed myself over that.
Yeah.
That I'm a piece of shit, that I'm a failure. But what it did, it was a gift, because I moved out, I started from scratch. I left the house to mom, and I started rebuilding myself. From the bottom.
That one step at a time.
Really bottom. Like,
Yeah.
I moved out into a guest house 5 minutes from the house
Yeah.
in someone's backyard that had really low, like Smurf Village, really low.
Right.
And it was just for me and my little bed. Couple months. Then I got a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom. Gave my kids the master. Was there 3, like I'd have no furniture. It was me and my 3 boys. We're like, we don't need no fucking furniture. It was so much fun. We had such a great time.
Yeah.
But I rebuilt myself from like the beginning, getting healthier physically. I didn't have the energy to take care of my kids on my own. All of a sudden, I'm taking care of them half the time on my own.
Yeah.
So it completely changed my life. And I started thinking, I started reading books.
Yeah.
I started really changing my whole mentality. Like, why am I getting angry? Why am I getting frustrated with, why am I letting people push my buttons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's me. I realize it's me. I'm the problem, basically. Like, I don't have it figured out. And that was a big key for me.
So it was like this drive
Yeah.
to build, but in a new way, in a new light, like from a new mindset.
Yeah.
Create a new Rick.
Question everything. That's
Question
what I
everything.
did.
Yeah,
I thought I had it figured out. I thought I got this. I got my 3 boys. I'm a good dad. Everyone thinks I'm a good dad. I'm a good husband too. Like all of a sudden, everything came crashing in my mind.
Right.
I wasn't forgiving myself for letting it happen.
Right.
I was
It
blaming
sounds-
myself, guilty, which was wrong.
And it
Things
sounds
don't
like
work out.
it sounds like also there was this idea of like everyone thinks
Yeah.
this, everyone thinks I'm a good dad, this,
Perfectionism, yes.
everyone thinks I have a good career, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Disappointing people. People turned their back on me.
Yeah.
And that was hard. And then I
Oh
just
my
flipped
gosh,
all
yeah.
my beliefs. I was
Right.
like, anything that upset me, I was like, let me question this.
yeah.
Why am I feeling this way? And I realized it's just I created belief systems that were driving this feeling. And I rethought everything, like emotional intelligence stuff.
Yeah.
Don't control things you can't control. Don't take things personally. The people that turn their back on me, it's okay. Forgive them. They have their own issues. They're freeing me up to spend time with people that, I want to spend time with.
But this is such a great story that how could you turn those roadblocks into a
Yeah.
positive one? How could you make it like rather than crush you,
Yeah.
but to build you instead?
Yeah.
And that's very important
Yeah.
when we're actually trying to find ourselves
Right.
and go to that next version of yourself
Right.
at the same
Sometimes
time.
you just gotta you need to hit rock because
It's the rock bottom
if it
moment.
had worked out,
yeah,
I would have stayed the same.
true.
And I wasn't
Yeah.
really, I wasn't like practicing and learning about and teaching myself an emotionally intelligent mindset before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's something I learned and started figuring out because I'm like, oh wow, that's so much better.
Yeah.
Being positive about stuff, not complaining about stuff,
They don't-
taking accountability of your responsibility of things.
And they don't teach us that in school.
No.
You
Yeah.
know, and a lot of parents, they don't know because they weren't taught. So
and these are life skills that
Life skills,
it's
man.
something that you never really learn from school. It's something that it needs to happen for a reason so you could grow.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a really big proponent of teaching this stuff in elementary school. Like I feel like there should be like an emotional intelligence class every semester because they don't teach kids how to deal with this. Like,
Yeah.
my parents are old school. I'm not blaming them, but my dad's like, oh, what do you need a self-help book?
Yeah.
You
Right.
don't know how to live your life? Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Like that. He'd make fun of it, and I'd go, yeah, I'd act like that too. Like, I
Right.
don't need a self-help book. I fucking,
Yeah.
I have it figured out.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. And then when things fall apart, I was like, damn.
Without that foundation.
And I was still arguing with my ex.
Right.
2 years later, still up to that point, until I read my first self-help book, which was The Cow in the Parking Lot.
Wow.
An anger management book.
Never heard of
I'm
that
like,
one.
why is my yelling on the phone with
Right.
my ex?
Yeah.
'Cause and then that book helped me realize I was the problem, right? Like I was
Yeah.
letting somebody control me.
Right, right. But what a great story. And look, what have you become?
I know.
Because of that.
And you can be a big burly dude,
Right.
and get less angry. Like the anger was self-perpetuated because
Right.
of the beliefs I learned.
Yeah.
I had to defend someone looked at me. I swear, like I got into a lot of fights growing up.
Yeah.
Because I was taught like somebody like disrespects you. That I read all these books. I'm like, oh my god, I was wasting so much energy. Now I'm just
Yeah.
like somebody flips me off on the freeway. I'm like, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'll be like, I love you.
Namaste.
I say I love you, and I'm like, because I'm like, you know what? They don't know me.
Right.
It's nothing personal.
Nothing personal.
And they go, okay.
Yeah.
They feel so bad.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
sometimes I always feel like I hope he really needs to use the bathroom.
Right.
You know, it's like there's always a reason why I hope
Exactly.
you're doing this because
Yeah.
it's very dangerous. But it might be, you never know what's going on in that
Exactly.
person's
Yeah.
life.
They're in pain.
Maybe
Exactly.
maybe it's a rush that his son or something is in the, like he needs to pick him up from school.
Right.
It's so funny how I always think about what other people probably is
you're empathizing.
Exactly.
Once you empathize with someone,
Yeah.
and you realize it's nothing personal, and you stop letting insecurity drive you.
Right. True.
Because a lot of it's insecurity. Oh, I gotta show this guy I'm tough. Why? He doesn't know me. If they're yelling at you, they're probably not doing that well in life, right?
Right.
They're probably like, in a bad state. They've had something bad happen, or they're just angry people. Nothing personal. Let them have that. Let them own that.
So I'd love to turn that question back around on you, Diana.
Ooh.
Same question. You know, if there was like, what is inside you? Because there is. You said nuts. I don't know if that's the word I'd use, but yeah, it's something like you have a crazy drive, grit, persistence, belief in yourself and others, and it's inspiring. I want to know, where does that come from? There's multiple aspects we've explored from your past, right? That we didn't really get too much into the diagnosis of your two sons of the autism and how that shaped your life, how that influenced tangandjava. But I'd love to ask you that. I'd love to ask you about that moment in your life of where you look back and go, that's, to this day, I'm fighting for that.
Right. Okay. Well, it's the time that I almost lost my son.
Mm-hmm.
That is such an eye-opener to me, that I was in the shower and I fall on my knees and I told God, I surrender. You take the wheel. I'll do everything just to save my son. And for me, that time really makes me realize that being grateful to what I have with this two precious, beautiful son that I have that was diagnosed with autism, they're the most beautiful thing. And along with my other two kids that happened to me. My goal in this world is to actually raise these kids, to raise them and show them how to be the best version of themselves. And for me, that's a goal. And every time I wake up, you try to be the good example for them. You want to show them that how good they are. Don't let them stop, let them grow, learn, have them find their mistakes, or let them experience their mistakes and learn from it. And you were there just to guide them. So once you have that feeling of, you feel bigger than yourself. I don't know if you're exactly what I mean, if that's the right term or word for it. It's thinking about more than yourself now. It's not just about me.
Yeah.
It's about these 4 beautiful boys that I'm raising to be a better person.
Yeah.
And what can they have done to the world? What can they contribute? You need to let them show their potential, so the world could be able to be a better place. I know it's kind of weird, but...
And you have to look at it in a different frame of mind. Because what people traditionally think is like a strength or a superpower, it could be different.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the superpowers of special needs kids is that they're so typically inclusive of everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if somebody is... like, either has special needs or is just not different anyway, they're so inclusive, and that's a superpower in and of itself.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
The unconditional love they have for anyone in their circle.
It's a teacher.
Right.
You can't get that from your typical kids. No offense to the typical boys I got, but they're kind of like, hey, whatever. Ben is like, bro, I can be having the worst fucking day.
Yeah.
He's still, and I can be the biggest dick to him sometimes, getting frustrated. He still loves me.
But mostly the takeaway is actually God.
Yeah, it sounds like
Things happen not on your time, but on God's time. Things happen the way how it should happen, according to Him, what He has planned. And once you understand that, rather than being so, in the process, you're trying to tug in and trying to be like, so strong about it, but it's just not happening. Let go and believe in that, and things gonna happen for a reason.
Yeah, the more I've found I've leaned into God's will,
Yeah.
the more I've tried to seek God and like what is God's will, the more I found that really that meaning of community, right?
Yeah.
The importance of community, the importance of loving each other, because that ultimately at the end of the day, like that is God's ultimate.
Right.
For me, I see like that's a big part of God's will, is like we're here for each other, we're here to help each other, we're here to be useful to create podcasts like this so we can help others, so we can, just like how you want to inspire your boys, you can inspire the youth, we can inspire others. And so I'm so grateful.
Can I just say,
but I
just have to say,
please,
because I want to be very inclusive and I want to represent everyone. And even if you're not if God isn't part of your equation, still, as a very logical person that's
Right.
very open to anything.
Yeah.
My philosophy is I don't know anything. Even if you're like that, it's still much better to accept the reality of things.
You're right.
To turn it into your movie, whether it's something, God's universes or whatever will or not, it's still one of the keys. Like something goes wrong, embrace that.
Yeah.
Ben, my oldest, taught me that more than anything. You talked about how that turning point in your life.
Yeah.
Until then, were you not fully accepting, you think, of the situation until that day when you thought?
My world flipped.
Yeah.
The way how I look at life. I stopped when I saw this flower starting to bloom in front of my eyes. I stop when I see a butterfly coming in and my kids are chasing them. Like those little things that, like, why am I always in a rush? Like, why am I always in a rush where I could just enjoy this beautiful thing? I never knew that I have a beautiful garden
Right.
till my son stopped and really enjoy seeing that little squirrel coming in over and the chirping of the birds that was actually nesting in front of our house. I was like, what a nice music to my ear. But you will never notice that if you're always like rushing.
Right.
I gotta go to work and stuff. But when you become more aware of your surroundings, you start noticing things that you normally don't.
Right. They
Really?
remind you to slow down.
Exactly.
But I think it's important too to know that it's okay to feel loss. Like, to be honest, to be open, right?
Yeah.
Like, we did not know Ben was gonna have Down syndrome. We found out on like day 2-3 that they were gonna test him, and then like a week later we found out. That first month, it does feel like a loss, like you had a death in the family, because you have visions of what your firstborn or your child is gonna
Right.
be. They're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. Even if you tell yourself, as long as they're healthy, you do have that. So it's okay to like mourn initially that loss. And then I remember like when he was like a month old, when we started having eye contact, where I was like, I finally go, okay, what do I have here? And you start embracing it.
Yeah.
And then now, of course, I look back, I wouldn't change a thing.
Right?
Right.
I'd be too scared. He might turn out not happy.
Yeah.
He's perfect.
Yeah.
He's such
And
a
we're
joy.
very lucky to be
So
a part of
lucky.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time, just saying, you may think this is the worst thing that could happen. Why me?
Yeah.
What did we do?
Uh-huh.
We never had anything like this in our family. What did we do wrong?
Yeah.
Did we not eat right? Are we being punished?
Right.
You think, but you could be holding the biggest treasure right in front of you, and you think
Right.
it's something not good. So
It really
very
takes
important to
that
like take a different
turn
perspective
point.
and
Yeah.
make sure you're looking at all sides, not just
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
the obvious
getting
negatives.
getting stuck through one lens
Yeah.
as opposed
Yeah.
to, all right, what are the different
Get all the camera angles.
Yeah, let's get it let's get a full view of the scene and what does this really mean for us. So that being said, guys, I'd love to keep going.
Yeah.
I know, right? We could talk
This
for
is just
hours.
part one.
This
This is just-
yeah,
This is a
and we
taste.
will keep going. This was episode 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to be back, but This was a great first episode, and I just want to say, I want to ask, what can we expect from Coffee Unplugged moving forward? Who is this podcast for? What are we going to be talking about? What kind of guests are we going to have on the show? Those types of stuffs.
This is definitely real people with no script,
Mm-hmm.
sharing their stories, their real stories, and empower and to let other people know that you're not alone. It's not just you going through in this road. You know, there's a lot of people, great stories that will unfold because of this podcast.
Yeah, like sharing real stories, connect. It's an opportunity to connect on a very deep level because you're in each other's heads. You're having a real conversation. We're going to have like emotional moments. We're going to be able to connect on something that's challenging that other people can relate to. You know what I mean? Because I think the ultimate goal is to help people along their way, like help people along their journey. Maybe
by sharing the stories.
Maybe we have business advice. Maybe we have how to get, how to overcome, how to be more gritty, how to figure out who you are, how to get over personal problems, relationships. I mean, these are the important things, I'd
say my biggest takeaway from this episode is that no matter, for me, from hearing both of your stories, no matter what you've been through, no matter what your story is or has been, it doesn't control you. We all have the power to pick up the pen and to write our story in the present moment and then into the future.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Very powerful episode. Thank you both for being
Thank you, Evan, for facilitating this first one.
Amazing.
It was awesome. So, with
I
that,
love it, man.
Thank you for sharing this space, Rick.
Yes.
I'm so happy.
All right.
Good job, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us in your loft.
Episode 1 in the books.
Episode
Drop the
1.
mic. Oh, how do you drop the mic?
Shameless plug. Make sure
My
you
son has been calling me.
get to Tangandjava. Get your butts to Tangandjava.
Coffee. Get your coffee.
Yourselves your coffee and your gelatos.
But first, coffee.
So make sure not to miss any episode by hitting that like and subscribe.
Give us feedback if you liked the episode, like and subscribe. And the next one, I think, is even better
Yes.
because we keep leveling up.